What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we are going over another God roll guide for y'all with the different times Strand Pulse Rifle in our kinetic slot, which is a 450 RPM, which is similar to our Peace of Mind, also in our kinetic slot. So it is that nice fast-paced shooting. So it has very good potential in both PvP and PvE realm. So we're going to go over both of those God rolls for y'all, and it is, like I said, about even in both of those categories. I'm going with about a 4-3, 4-4 in each PvP as well as PvE. As always, we are starting out with our origin trait, Unsated Hunger. Increased handling, reload stability when no abilities are fully charged. So if you go spam your abilities in the Crucible, throw your grenade, hit a melee, dodge, whatever it may be, you're going to get that nasty handling and stability as well as reload. So this thing is an absolute laser beam when Unsated is procced, but that's not always the case, especially in the PvE realm when your abilities usually come back pretty quickly. Starting us off for our PvP God roll, you can see our stats in the right down there with that 50 in range, 56 on stability. Like I said, this thing feels absolutely like a laser beam when everything gets procced together, and just in general being a 540 RPM, this thing shoots pretty straight. So we are going with a range masterwork on this to get these stats you see. Just felt like this was better than handling or stability on this, just because that already feels nice in my opinion. Now for our mods that we have on this, we got the small bore perk giving us 7 in range and stability, which is pretty much a go-to for me. You could use something like fluted if you want to be able to switch on and off of this a little bit faster, pairing it with a shotgun or something like that, but I personally like small bore. Now in our second column, got that ricochet rounds for our magazine, increased stability and slightly increased to range. This helps a lot shooting on those corners, and with that stability, like I said, this helps making this thing a laser beam inside of the Crucible. When we move into our third and fourth columns, I think there's really only one option to go to for both of these. First off, we got moving target, increased movement speed and increased target acquisition while moving, aiming down sights. So sliding around with ADS, you're going to be able to move a little bit quicker, as well as have that improved target acquisition. So this thing feels super sticky and, like I said, like a laser beam inside of the Crucible. Making this even better with Head Seeker in our fourth column, body shots landed with this weapon increased precision and aim assist for a short time. Body shots landed while the perk is active, refreshes the timer. So out of the pulse rifle, you hit a couple body shots with that and hit a couple headshots. This will help proc, so you're doing that nice extra damage in those precision shots. So like I said, this thing can absolutely get going inside of the Crucible and start wiping out Guardian after Guardian after Guardian. Just feels super nice, kind of like the Peace of Mind, which is definitely one of the best pulse rifles in that kinetic slot. Right now, the Crucible meta is definitely in those lower 330 RPMs, 450s that hit a little bit harder just because everybody's sitting in the back of the map. But if you are slightly aggressive using a shotgun with this, getting a little bit closer, you can absolutely shred through Guardians in the PvP realm. Switching right into the PvE realm, like I said, about the same rating, maybe a little bit better in PvE because of the strand synergy, but this thing slaps in both realms, about a 4.4, 4.5 like I said earlier. So again, we're going with that range masterwork on this just because you can see in the stats, keeping that stability and range about the same. Felt right with this weapon because of its faster paced shooting. Don't need to be super far away. You want to be a little bit closer to those enemies, and with anything under 30, 35 in that range in a pulse rifle, just feels like you're barely hitting enemies unless you're up close and personal, which is where that auto rifle SMG come into play a little bit heavier. So building this out for that range with stability definitely makes this thing feel very good in the PvE realm. Now I know this might be a little bit basic, but I'm going small bore again just for this build and how I like to play with it, like I said, being in super up close and personal, you want to use SMG or an auto rifle, something like that. So I went with small bore to give us that range and stability to allow us to play like a pulse rifle in the PvE realm should, and stay back from enemies getting our right hand columns to proc with that hatchling subsistence, which is absolutely nasty. Go over that in a second, but small bore definitely felt right for me. Moving on to our second column for our magazine, I personally like appended mag. You can see we have 48 in the magazine with this. If you do something like light mag where you get a little bit of extra range and reload, it goes down to 43, which really isn't a big difference. Or you could go with extended mag that it keeps it actually exactly the same, but look at how it tanks our reloads. So you could go with light mag appended, totally up to you. I personally like the appended option. Now, for our third and fourth column, why I might have rated the PvE version just a little bit better than the PvP, because we have multiple options in both of these columns. So first off, my 5 out of 5 God Roll is the Subsistence Hatchling. Subsistence giving us the ammo back from our reserves into the magazine is definitely one of my favorite PvE perks of all time, and it feels so good on this weapon, especially pairing that with Hatchling. We're creating all of those threadlings very quickly, and this improves our handling. So subsistence, it feels like you never have to reload, and you're creating hatchlings everywhere, so that strand synergy is insane with this side of it. My personal 5 out of 5 God Roll. Now in the third column, you could go something like Stats for All, giving it the handling, stability, reload, range when you hit 3 separate targets, but that is totally up to you. Or you could go with Outlaw, getting that faster reload when you get those precision final blows, but since this is a 540, hits a little bit less, so you're not absolutely annihilating some of those stronger enemies. So that's why I personally went with Subsistence, wiping out all those rank and files. Creating hatchlings allows us to create those threadlings and just defeat some of those stronger enemies because of hatchlings and the pulse rifle. Now, in our fourth column, like I said, I'm going with Hatchling easily as my God Roll, but there are some very, very good options as well. I personally like Golden Tricorn as a very, very close second. I might craft it as well with this and give it a try, but it gives us that nice bonus damage for an increased time. While this is happening, we get grenade and melee final blows of the same damage type, greatly improves its damage. So when we're getting those strand threadling grenade defeats as well as our melee defeats, this will do some nice extra little bit of damage, helping those out collectively. We also have the option of right here in Adrenaline Junkie. Sorry, got a little backwards, but this thing is also very good, giving us damage and handling from final blows with grenades or this weapon. So it is a nice little damage boost, especially if you pair it with Subsistence. You basically, like I said, never run out of ammo, it feels like, when you're getting those defeats. So this will basically always get up and give us that nice improved damage as well. So this thing shines, like I said, both PvP, PvE, maybe giving it a 4-3 in the PvP realm and then a 4-5 in the PvE, but that's just because we have different options for perks for the PvE side of this weapon compared to PvP. But definitely craft this thing as soon as you can. Feels very good for a 540 RPM pulse rifle, and it's our first Strand Pulse Rifle, so very excited for this. Definitely excited to get a hard hitting like 450 or 330 RPM pulse rifle in the Strand category and see how that feels as well. But for now, with Subsistence Hatchling in the PvE realm and then moving target Head Seeker in PvP, definitely one of my favorite weapons from this season just in general. So as always, thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel and checking it out. If you guys want, hit that subscribe bell so you never miss out on God Rolls like this, as well as all the builds that I put out every season and in the future, doing guides, stuff like that, switching it up. So hopefully y'all hit that button and come back to the channel. I appreciate all y'all that do and just watch the channel in general. So again, thank y'all for the support. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.